It's meme time, it's meme time. Gather all your friends, it's meme time. It's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
So our story continues with the epic sight of seeing Ultra Vegito and Ultra Gogeta staring off at one another, each in their respective fighting stance of the two legendary Saiyans that made up each of their existences. Now look at that aura of yours, and that lightning too. You've gotten pretty strong, haven't you, Gogeta? It's almost like looking at myself in the mirror. Don't flatter yourself. If there's one benefit of Fusion Dance over Potara, it's definitely the infinitely better hairstyle. You could never be as handsome as I, and you know it, Vegito. But you'd be right, there's definitely some similarities. After all, I too have now mastered both Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, and most importantly, figured out exactly how to combine them for the Ultra form. As within the mind of Gogeta, we see the flashbacks of not only the young GT Goku in his MUI form, but also the short-haired GT Vegeta in his MUE form. It took a while, but with all the tips you gave me when we trained, Beerus and Whis had their work cut out for them. But Vegito, hearing this, can't help but be a little surprised, but perhaps not for the reason we all think, as he says, "Impressive. To be honest, I would have never anticipated you to have mastered both without me. But then again, I didn't anticipate you to join with that god also. So all that progress was just from training with little old Beerus, huh? It hasn't even been long. In my timeline, Beerus would have spent most of his time sleeping." Watch your mouth, Saiyan. But of course, Beerus in the background, still covered in electricity and ready to battle at any moment, quips back in anger, continuing, "My timeline this and my timeline that. So it is indeed true. You are a meddler in time. A mortal committing one of the 7 cardinal sins determined by Zeno. I hope you know you won't go unpunished for this, kid. You're basically a walking dead man. I'll let you have your fun with your little twin over here for the sake of observing his progress. But once this is done, you're mine." "Shut up, Scooby-Doo! I've killed you once, and I'll dispose of you even quicker this time! Sit tight, your time will come soon enough!" Causing Ultra Vegito to immediately lose his temper, hearing the threats of Beerus, powering up his immense aura before rushing in with immense ferocity straight towards Gogeta, as if he was imagining him as the god of destruction himself. But of course, the battle-thirsty Ultra Gogeta on the other end, who near enough shares the same love for a fight as Vegito, just smiles, tensing his body as he lets out, "It's about time you stopped waffling. Let's give Argis subscribers a real show! Fusion versus Fusion!" As having said that, Gogeta finally charges in at Vegito with a grin on his face, while the other few Saiyan, markedly, is far more serious. "This isn't a game, Gogeta!" Huh? Where'd he go? But just as the two get close enough to throw a punch, Ultra Vegito instantly vanishes. Well, that was anticlimactic. All that talk, and he runs away on the first exchange? What is he planning? And with that said, Gogeta then closes his eyes, in hopes of detecting the energy signature of Vegito. Come out, wherever you are, Vegito! How the hell has he marked his energy completely? Where are you? But as Gogeta continues to obliviously take his time in finding his foe, behind him, an increasingly impatient Beerus watches on unimpressed. What did I tell you about watching your surroundings, Saiyan? Stop closing your eyes and look up for God's sake, as the former destroyer lifts his head and looks to the sky. Huh? What are you talking about? Causing Gogeta to break character and quickly copy his master in looking to the sky until he finally does realize. What? What is he doing all the way up there? Coward! Spotting up in the air something that looks no bigger than an ant. But as we zoom in the sky rapidly falling like a meteorite is Ultra Vegito. His arms bulked up and raised in the air as he shoots down yelling, If I'm so cowardly, then just stay right there. I'll be with you in a flash. And literally, just like Ultra Vegito had said, instantly the enraged Saiyan crashes his fists straight onto the ground below where Gogeta was meant to be, sending the very surface of the planet to crumble all over and separate tectonically. In the aftermath, all that can be seen is a humongous crater, swathed in thick, dusty smoke. But out the gaps, the face of the God Killer peers through angrily as he comments, Looks like we know who the real coward is now, don't we, Gogeta? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was supposed to be a one-on-one battle. What's with the tips from Scooby? You gods might not fight fair, but we Saiyans do! As Vegito then turns his head to the sky and now sees in an Uno reverse, Gogeta appearing like the ant in the sky, watching down. In the air, looking pleased with himself and smirking, Gogeta then responds, Sorry, I was trying to get up to you. Call it a miscommunication. But you do have a point. Beerus, I don't need your involvement anymore. I'm the god of destruction now. Remember that and step aside. Causing the annoyed and disapproving Beerus to let out, Why, you ungrateful brat. Fine, so be it. But at least just get on with it now and stop holding back. You Saiyans really do love to make the most of a battle, don't you? That we do. That we do. But I guess you're right. It's about time I made my move. Before instantly Gogeta vanishes and reappears right in front of Vegito, launching a punch that lands smack bang on his face. Leaving even Ultra Vegito to be somewhat impressed with the execution as he grunts, What speed! There was nothing I could do! As he's then carried, flying back, unable to regain himself from the sheer power and impact of Ultra Gogeta's fist. But Gogeta, not done in the slightest, bears a sinister smirk again as he continues, Gone so soon? Here, I can't let you leave without a little souvenir, Vegito. As within each of his few Saiyan hands, two bright signature balls of energy then begin to form. Hey Vegito! Think fast! I don't want this battle to end too early! as Gogeta stands, arms wide open, ready to throw 2 concentrated balls of energy as if in a game of baseball. Instantly then throwing with power, 3 balls of energy that are thrown so intensely their very shape distorts mid-flight as they move. The balls then shoot off like rockets, chasing after the still flying back Vegito, like rabid dogs, until... What the hell are those? Ultra Vegito lifts his head in alarm and regains himself in the air finally. Before in the nick of time, flying right into the air, as the 2 beams of energy seemingly just miss him, flying off to explode elsewhere. You didn't think you'd get away that easy, did you? Here's a little trick from our old friend Yamcha. As Ultra Gogeta then suddenly raises 2 fingers into the air with a confident smile. What? Causing Vegito to react in utter shock as he soon realizes that the beams of energy he thought he had escaped like a matador had instantly changed course to reach up to him as if they were heat-seeking missiles. But with one more trick up his sleeve, Vegito then quickly brings up his left arm saying, "Since when did Yamcha's attacks become the bane of my life? Fine! If you want to feed me some of your precious energy, then be my guest!" As immediately, not one to bluff, Ultra Vegito holds out his android arm and begins absorbing each and every drop of Gogeta's attack, taking in both beams without breaking a sweat as he comments, "I normally use this arm to absorb God Ki, but plain old powerful energy like this will do too. I feel stronger already." But before Vegito could take any more pleasure in the absorption of his foe's energy, Ultra Gogeta skillfully finds himself right behind Vegito, smirking as he interrupts, "Glad you enjoyed a taste of real power. Enjoy it, because you're going to need all the help you can get around me." As shockingly, almost in a throwback to Android 16 from the Cell Saga, Ultra Gogeta bear hugs Vegito from behind, immobilizing him instantly as he says with a smile, "Hold on tight, Vegito. You're in for a ride." "What? Get off of me, you freak!" As Ultra Vegito in response yells out maniacally, squirming with all his might to try and escape. Now, the more you struggle, the tighter my grip gets. Now just stay still. This'll be over before you know it. As Gogeta then swiftly shoots off into the sky at full speed, covered in aura, until instantly, in a perfect 180 change of direction, now shooting down to the earth, he still holds on to Vegito, who is becoming increasingly disorientated. Maybe this will knock some sense back into you, God Killer. And just like that, a massive explosion of incomparable magnitude is then seen, shaking the very core of Beerus's planet, seemingly having been caused by the impact of both fused Saiyans launching into the ground like a couple of maniacs. But soon enough, it's revealed floating in the air mid-twirl is Ultra Gogeta, who it appears had jumped from Vegito just before impact, as he says, "Now that's gotta have hurt. I told you, you'd need all the help you could get with me." As softly and as elegantly as a ballerina, Gogeta then lands on his feet with his back turned to his victim, as he lets out of a cocky smirk, "Seeming a little quiet over there, Vegito. Isn't this the part when you kill me and take my energy? Or have I flipped the script? As in the pile of debris and smoke that lays where Vegeta was decimated, just as Gogeta says, not a peep or sound vibration can be heard from the God Killer. Until eventually, once the dust settles, we're treated to the concerning image of Ultra Vegito's seemingly lifeless body sticking out of the ground, with his head firmly penetrated into the planet itself. If only you could see yourself right now, Vegito. You're closer to looking like me now that that ugly mug of yours is gone, that's for sure. I'm starting to think I may be a little too much for you in this form. Maybe I should go back down to Super Saiyan 4. Meanwhile, watching on with a big grin and a sense of pride, Beerus comments, "Not bad. Not bad at all, Saiyan. To tell you the truth, I thought you may have needed a couple more years to surpass this famed God Killer. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Looks like you didn't need my help after all." But unknowing to the Destroyer, back with Vegito, his body has already begun to move, as he angles his back and moves his legs until he pops out straight onto the ground and flips back onto his feet. He pops straight out of the ground and flicks back onto his feet. Much better. Before then looking down to his shoulder nonchalantly and saying, "That attack of yours has stiffened up my neck. That's annoying. Guess I'll do a Piccolo and sort it out the old-fashioned way." Proceeding to then crack his neck and continuing, "Good as new." What? But Beerus, seeing this, is far from feeling his best, as his eyes pop wide open and he yells, "Why? Why does he not even look in the slightest bit fazed? That attack landed head on. That was one of Gogeta's strongest attacks, was it not? What's going on here, Whis?" Whis, however, remains far more calm, as usual, as he more assuringly says, "It seems our time meddler over here may be a lot stronger than we first assumed, my lord. But not to worry, Lord Beerus, because our Gogeta-san doesn't seem to care much anyway. In fact, he seems to be enjoying this." As having said this, almost on cue, Ultra Gogeta then jumps forward to approach Vegito, before landing adamantly straight on with the God Killer, as Vegito says, "Oh, you again? That was kind of nice. It's been so long since I'd last been hugged, you know. Wanna do it again?" Funny, Vegito, but unfortunately, I don't bend that way. How about I show you some other tricks instead? Starting with skipping this game of testing each other, and just battling full power starting now. You should know better than anyone. I don't exactly have all the time in the world. To which a clearly more serious Vegito then responds back, "Yeah, I figured as much. After all, the last time I used the fusion dance, I couldn't even finish my fight with Beerus. I didn't really think I'd have to go all out traveling back here, but looks like that's just the way it's gonna be." As instantly the two begin to simultaneously vanish as if in perfect sync with each other, with Gogeta's final words being, "Glad you see it my way," and Vegito's being, "Oh, rest assured, it will be you who sees more than you bargained for today." With immediately Gogeta's first attack being blocked with thunderous impact on Vegito's forearm, his face remaining emotionless as if not trying. But once Vegito responds with a punch of his own at full strength, the almost negligible gap in their power is observed, as Gogeta dodges at the last second, commenting, "Ha! Too slow, Vegito. I'll show you real speed!" Cocking back his own fist to slam onto Vegito. But in the end, the punch just lands flat on the palm of Ultra Vegito, who lets out, "All that training and you're still an amateur. Speed is nothing if it's so obviously telegraphed. A real attack should be unexpected!" As instantly, out of nowhere, Ultra Vegito extends his Godslayer blade, piercing Gogeta straight through his shoulder, sending him flying back as the blade continues to extend and cause even more pain and agony. What a move! Why can't I do that? As Gogeta continues to be pushed back a seemingly infinite amount. Until eventually, Gogeta stamps his feet into the ground and forcefully stops himself from moving back any further. But with the damage to his shoulder already done, with just one eye open and gritting his teeth as if it were an arrow he could remove, he lets out, "So, this is the Godslayer blade I've heard so much about. I've got to be one of the only destroyers to have felt this and not be dead, right? And I'm guessing I'm only going to just hurt myself trying to get this out." Vegito, now for the first time in a while, smiles, knowing he's finally got the upper hand, and replies, "Well, yeah, I guess you'd be right about that. But the night is young. Make the wrong move, and you might just turn out to be another destroyer 6 foot in the ground. And as for grabbing my Godslayer blade, I wouldn't recommend it if you value your fingers." But despite hearing this admission, Gogeta surprisingly looks upbeat, still smirking as he responds, "Oh, is that so? Well, if you're saying I can't get this out, then I'll just settle for you doing it for me." Leaving Vegito understandably perplexed as he questions, "And I'm going to be doing that because..." But as Vegito wonders, curiously, the fingers on Gogeta's outstretched right arm begin to move inwards, as if calling forth something. "What is that?" But suddenly, out the corner of Vegito's eye, rushing towards him, breaking the sound barrier as it travels at an unfathomable speed, is a lone energy ball. In fact, the third energy ball Ultra Vegito threw earlier in their fight that never chased after the God Killer until now. And it is then revealed, for good reason, Ultra Vegito tried his best to avoid them, as on impact, an explosion of unparalleled magnitude is then seen. As just as Gogeta had said, the Godslayer Blade 2 breaks off in tandem. In the end, Ultra Gogeta is left smiling victorious, letting out, "That's why you let go, Vegito. Looks like Beerus was wrong. It's not me who needs to be more aware of my surroundings, it's you." But suddenly, something begins to alarm Gogeta, his senses tingling as he knows things may not be as they seem. "Be aware of this surrounding, punk!" As unbelievably, Ultra Vegito appears from a time portal to strike Gogeta across the face without a second for the fused Saiyan to react, with anger and vigor on his face from even being forced to use such an ability. And of course, the hardened punch sends Ultra Gogeta flying far off for a massive crash landing. Vegito, having got some semblance of revenge, then wipes his mouth of the apparent damage of Gogeta's last attack, grunting out, "That was a good little move. Caught me off guard. I'll give you that. Forgive me if I take that for myself. Might be useful against that damn Grand Priest." But of course, not beaten yet, Ultra Gogeta, still smiling as if enjoying the battle to its fullest regardless, responds, "Be my guest. What's mine is yours after all. Literally. I'd say I'll take that weird portal move of yours, but that's not something we're supposed to be able to do, is it, Vegito?" But as Gogeta stands, his mannerism finally changes, as if set and decided on his decision now, letting out, "Well, that was fun, Vegito, but I think we both know I have to finish this now or I'll end up defusing. We're just about equal, I'd say, physically at least. Now all that's left is who's mentally stronger and who's got the most energy. How about we test the latter with a good old-fashioned energy beam struggle? And don't you dare try and absorb this one. Fight me like a Saiyan, not an android." And with that said, Gogeta then confidently ascends into the air. While meanwhile, a smirking Vegito looks up, watching him carefully as he responds, "As you wish, but not sure how I'm going to avoid fighting you as an android. You know this arm of mine has given me infinite energy, don't you? This ki beam struggle is pointless. This battle is already decided." But regardless of this critical information from Vegito, Ultra Gogeta just mutters, "Oh, I see. Well, we'll just see about that." As a bright ball of energy begins to form between the palm of his hands, creating shadows on his face as it illuminates the entire surrounding area. Until finally, it increases in size. While angling his body, he begins yelling, "Ka! May! May!" Meanwhile, a slightly confused but still full of himself Vegito would watch on from below, replying, "I like the self-belief, even if pointless. So be it. A good old-fashioned Kamehameha versus Kamehameha battle, huh? Guess I'll be Gohan in this roleplay then." And with that, Ultra Vegito 2 then gets into stance and places his hands into the iconic position, then yelling out himself, "Ka! May! May! But suddenly, something appears to go wrong. Something so wrong that it leaves Vegito absolutely and unusually speechless. As unbelievably, in a blink of an eye, Ultra Gogeta, without any kind of hand sign, instantly transitions down to crouch just below Vegito, his arms still cocked back in position, ready to do only one move we all know, and Vegito too knows it. In his final moments, as he stares down, a realization finally comes along with an onslaught of fear over what will happen next, as he yells out, No! No! Gogeta, don't! But ultimately, in the end, the ruthless Ultra Gogeta, no different to his counterpart, leaves no time to talk, and just like that, blasts Ultra Vegito into what seemingly is oblivion. So our story continues with Ultra Gogeta having just instantly blasted Vegito with his Kamehameha Kai. All we can see now is the few Saiyan huffing and puffing in fatigue as in front of him, nothing but thick clouds of smoke envelop the area where Ultra Vegito once was. Exhausted, Ultra Gogeta then lets out, "Sorry, Vegito, but this little game of ours had to end here and now. I told you, I wasn't as naive as before. I know all about what you've been doing. News of your murder of the gods has spread like wildfire, even reaching universes like ours. Whis showed me it all, and I guess it was only a matter of time before you returned here. Big mistake. The only big mistake was underestimating me, kid." But suddenly, a sinister but familiar voice calls out from the unknown. "No! You're kidding me! There's no way you survived that, Vegito! Wait, why do I sense 3 others here? What is going on?" As when we peer closer into the dark clouds of dust and debris, 3 unrecognizable sets of red eyes appear to shoot through where only Ultra Vegito was supposed to be, if at all. Until shockingly, in a sight that I don't think any of us could have foresaw, 3 life-size apparitions of Kitella, Toppo, and Belmod appear with their arms crossed, seemingly having taken the brunt of Gogeta's attack instead of Vegito, and coincidentally, not only 3 warriors who were defeated by Vegito, but also 3 that had their destroyer energy robbed from them also. Of course, the sight of these 3 otherwise strangers to the GT Saiyan leaves him understandably confused, and for a number of reasons, as he lets out, Who the hell are these guys? Where on earth is Vegito?" But looking on from afar, Beerus at first can't recognize what's happening, but notices that somehow 3 figures have appeared to protect Vegito, as he first comments, "Now what is this, Whis? Some kind of new technique from the God Killer? You Saiyans never do fail to surprise me." "What? Belmod? Kitella?" But just as suddenly as Vegito's bodyguards turned up, Beerus's face too transforms in a flash to one of pure puzzlement and disbelief, as 2 of his fellow gods of destruction appear before him in his own universe, and to protect the God Killer no less, as he continues, "What in the name of Zeno is going on here? Do my eyes deceive me? That big fellow, isn't that Belmod's destroyer candidate? Whis, what is the meaning of this?" To which Whis, who though appearing calm and collected on the outside, grows increasingly concerned internally, as he responds, "At this point, I can't tell you, Lord Beerus. The appearance of 2 destroyers is far beyond the realm of what I could have ever expected, but I have a feeling this Saiyan will give us the answers we seek soon." As almost on perfect timing, as soon as Whis finished saying this, in a shock turn of events, all 3 life-size versions of Vegito's victims then begin to disappear into nothing, as if being erased all over again. But of course, behind them, a new figure begins to be revealed. As in a sight never before seen, Ultra Vegito is seen, but now looking markedly different than usual. Slobbered and even more ferocious black lightning than usual, as his hair appears noticeably longer, with one bang in particular now far longer than the other, and with him inexplicably covering one half of his face. He lets out, "Never in a million years did I think I would need to bring out this form. But I guess if you're going to try and beat me so deceitfully, then I have no choice but to not hold back. I planned on unleashing this only on Zeno and the Grand Priest. But today, the universe will see a glimpse of power it will not soon forget. Gogeta, you lying coward. And here I was planning on enjoying our little key bean clash. But you just had to play dirty, didn't you? Guess I couldn't expect any better from a destroyer, could I?" And as we see Ultra Vegeta from behind, his hand begins to finally move away from his face, continuing, "You will regret this day. The day you joined the ranks of Beerus and betrayed my trust. Remember this face, for it will be your last. Remember it, Gogeta!" As shockingly, Vegeta reveals his final look. His eye turned completely black, with only a white eye and black pupil to complement it. Reminiscent of Kid Buu, as if Vegito now had become a true Margin, aka Demon himself. With a cold stare, Ultra Vegito, now slightly less angered, would then turn to Gogeta and let out, "So, what do you think then, Gogeta? Cat got your tongue? You seem to have lost your voice ever since I revealed my new form. Curious to how I survived your attack and who those three were, are you?" But Gogeta, who looks more confused at this point than fearful at all of Vegito's look, just lets out obliviously, I couldn't care less about whoever those three freaks were. I half didn't even expect you to go down that easily. But what is up with that weird new look of yours? And your eye? Have you got pink eye or something? You need to get that checked out, bud." But a somewhat amused Vegito just laughs, smirking sinisterly before uttering words none of us could predict. "Maybe I should, but I think you should get that arm of yours checked out first, bud." "Huh? My arm? What the hell are you talking about this time?" This at first leaving Gogeta puzzled as he tries to figure out what cryptic nonsense his counterpart would be saying this time. Until... suddenly, in a truly familiar scene to long-time watchers of this story, from out of seemingly nowhere, a life-size apparition of the Angel Margarita appears slicing off the completely taken off guard Ultra Gogeta's arm, in just the same way Vegito's once was. You! You cut off my arm! Who the hell is this now? As the infinitely filled with rage Gogeta screams in a mix of agony and anger, staring at his now severed arm, wondering obliviously still where these complete unknown strangers are coming from. Margarita? But meanwhile, the more knowledgeable Whis finally breaks his cool on the sight of his own sister, and fellow divine Angel too, now being used as Vegito's puppet also, as he calls out, "Lord Beerus, I don't know what this is, but this cannot be possible for a mortal to wield the power of the gods and angels for his own. If Father of the Omni King catches wind of this, our entire universe will be at risk. You know what happened to the last 6 universes to have upset Zeno-sama. You must do something now. To which a more cautious and serious Beerus then concedes. Agreed. This Saiyan has far crossed the line. Goku and Vegeta or not, he must be destroyed before he causes any more trouble. But this is no task for just myself. Consider this my permission. Join me in battle, and let's get rid of this rat here and now! Really, Lord Beerus? You haven't let me interfere with your opponents in centuries. Are you sure? To which a standing tall Beerus just replies, I don't consider this freak an opponent. After all, he shouldn't even be here. Beerus, then powering up, surrounds himself in black lightning as the very ground beneath him shakes and he continues finally. Besides, something tells me this God Killer may actually be able to live up to his name if I challenge him alone. Enough questions now. Get ready, Whis! To which the obedient attendant just says, Understood, Beerus-sama. And just like that, Beerus and Whis rush in at speed right towards Ultra Vegito and Gogeta, aiming to finally put a stop to the time-traveling Saiyan's actions. But alas, in the distance, rather than feel even a hint of trepidation, Ultra Vegito, in his new form, just continues to laugh as if enjoying every second of the event, letting out, Oh, so now you want to get involved, do you, Beerus? Of course you would enlist help too, like all the rest of you cowardly gods. But I'm afraid 2 can play at that game. Say hello to my little friends. What? No! As suddenly, before Beerus and Whis could get any closer to Ultra Vegito, right in front of them, blocking their way in traumatic fashion, are the apparitions of the late destroyer Belmod and Angel Konyak, pitting God against God and brother against brother too. Belmod? What did he do to you? Leaving Beerus now stunned as he finally comes face to face with the alarming powers of Vegito that can call forth his own kind. And similarly, Whis is left wide-eyed and unable to blink as he stares into the lifeless eyes of Konyak, muttering, Brother, how is this Saiyan able to wield your powers as his own? Beerus! Whis! But Gogeta, who turns and sees his 2 masters now preoccupied with their own foes and dangers, courtesy of Vegeta also, can only stare in near silence as the futility and danger of the situation begins to settle in. This Vegito was not called the God Killer for no reason, and with the way things were going, if he didn't do something now, him, Beerus and Whis would become just another statistic on Vegito's rampage. This was a one-on-one between me and you, and now you bring out these weird puppets to get involved too? What is this? You call this fighting like a Saiyan? You're a disgrace! Immediately rushing in at Vegito with maddening anger, his severed arm still flailing in the air, spewing blood, but the pain completely numb from just the adrenaline of Gogeta's rage. But Vegito, watching, no longer has the same sinister smirk he had enjoyed up till now. Instead, wearing a cold and filled with killer intent stare that is aimed directly at Gogeta. Something his foe had said had clearly ticked him off. And within an instant, so fast, not even us viewers could see his movement, Vegito jumps the distance and grabs the shocked Gogeta right by his shocked face, covered in aura as he shoots towards an unknown direction. Traveling so fast in such a flash that nobody, not even Gogeta, could possibly keep up as he lets out his final words before doom. Stop! And just like that, with a venomous explosion that almost rips the entire divine planet of Beerus in half, Gogeta's face itself is lost into the surface, as Vegito pushes down with a grimace on his face, indicating just how violently and hard he decided to attack his once training partner. Vegito! And proof of this is Gogeta's now nothing short of dazed and lifeless face. His eyes now grayed out from losing consciousness, and his hair back to black and back to his base form, as he has finally, well and truly, been defeated by Ultra Vegito in definitive fashion. Meanwhile, the emotionless Vegito, who doesn't seem to have broken a single sweat, let alone caring at all for what he has done to Gogeta, then lets out indiscriminately, "You asked what this was. Well, this was true power, Gogeta. Something you will never gain being a slave to the gods. And don't you dare talk to me about fighting like a Saiyan after that cheap move you pulled off. What happened to wanting an old-fashioned key beam struggle, huh? Pathetic." But as Ultra Vegito lets out his grievances to a Gogeta who can barely respond back, the body of Gogeta suddenly begins to flash bright. Could this be one final trump card from the GT Warriors? Perhaps a self-destruction. But no, in the end, all that happens was the fusion dance timer finally running out, leading to Goku and Vegeta both separating and both unconscious, but curiously, both now in the God of Destruction garbs, and more importantly, both back with their left arms despite what had happened to Gogeta. Vegito is quick to notice this as well, and thinks to himself, "Well, would you look at that? Both arms intact. I guess I didn't need to worry about what happened to me after all. But then again, I don't know when I'll finally be ready to defuse." But meanwhile in the distance, the sounds of fists and kicks clashing can be seen in the area where Whis and Beerus once were, before they were confronted by the summonings of Vegito. Huh? Even if this is a fake, this Belmod knockoff isn't too bad at all, Whis. I believe this is his real energy. Yes, my lord. Whatever these things are, this is definitely how my brother fights. He's even using Ultra Instinct. This definitely is no illusion. We should get past these two now. I do not believe Gogeta-san's fusion will last any longer. But on mention of Gogeta, his student, Beerus turns his head to check in, only to see the alarming image of them defeated on the ground, now beaten and unconscious in front of the famed God-Killer, who in his mind is likely now about to kill them just as he had with the other gods. What? What the hell are you doing? Don't tell me you were actually defeated by that chump! What did he do to you? Goku! Vegeta! I will not stand for this anymore! As suddenly, in a roar that trembles the very fabric of the universe, Beerus, in a rage never before seen from him, yells to the heavens, powering up to his max level. As a stunned Belmont in front of him, even if just an apparition, can't help but stay still in awe. Huh? Meanwhile, of course, Whis, who is not too far at all, is forced to stop fighting as well, as even he is surprised by Beerus' sudden increase in power, as he lets out, Lord Beerus, this energy, are you really going to unleash that power, here and now? As the scene moves back to Beerus' face, who now sports a completely indifferent look, ready to put it all on the line as he says, I'm done with all of this. He came here for me, so I'll make sure he gets what's coming to him. As without warning, Beerus stops with the formalities and immediately brutally kicks the Belmont apparition in half as if it were made of paper now. And one more of you counterfeits is left, right? I've always wanted to know how it felt to defeat an angel. Maybe you'll give me that luxury, Cognac. Instantly vanishing from the view of both Whis and the apparition version of Cognac until reappearing, this time to decapitate the angel's head from its body with just a single strike. Lord Beerus! This sight and display of ridiculous power, of course, surprising Whis yet again, as he can only mutter, I've never seen you like this. Be careful. Whoa! So this timeline's Beerus is a lot stronger than the one from mine. What a surprise! You're even stronger than Gogeta, aren't you? Now I'm intrigued. Maybe you'll be able to make me break at least a sweat in this form. You. These goading words, of course, reaching Beerus, who turns his sight and attention back to Vegito and responds, Oh, you have no idea, Saiyan. Me and you are going to have that chat you so desperately wanted. And I can guarantee there will be more than just sweats broken. To which a smiling Ultra Vegito just quips back, Oh really? I don't remember the Beerus of my timeline ever being so eager for anything. Usually he'd be sleeping. Slowly raising his arm up until, with his knuckles and fingers towards Beerus, he lifts one finger and gestures to the destroyer, saying, But if you're so eager to die, then come back up your words, kitty cat. My pleasure. Leaving Beerus furious, but with nothing more to say. As Beerus, now set in his conviction to end the God Killer, flies towards him with his arm cocked back already, but noticeably, as he flies forward, his entire arm is now coated in the signature purple destroyer energy of her kind. Erasure Fist! And with perfect speed and execution, Beerus actually lands on Vegito, straight onto his cheek, sending his face flying back. And at this point, it's not even clear whether Vegito had let him hit him in an anime cliche, or if Beerus had actually gotten the one-up on our hero. But shockingly, once we finally see the end result of Beerus' attack, we come to realize the horrific effects of why Beerus' Hakai-coated fist should have been avoided at all costs. With now an entire block of Vegito's face completely erased and missing. Unable to even say a word, as now most of his brain has disappeared also. And in the end, the victor Beerus, knowing that there's no coming back from that, just stares with a strange smugness with a hint of caution, as even he almost can't believe he pulled it off, saying, "Oh, what a shame, Saiyan. I don't think you're in any position anymore to have that chat with me. But kudos to you for only having half your head blown off. I was expecting there to be nothing left of you after that, but I guess seeing that cocky smile on your face blasted off is even better." "Oh, you mean like this, Beerus?" As unbelievably, despite seemingly only having half a brain left, Vegito lets out a sarcastic comment back and resumes his smile, as slowly but surely the rest of his head begins to reappear, as if literally reversing the Hakai that Beerus had just performed. Good as new! Until finally, Ultra Vegito's face is back home, looking more sinister than ever, staring right into the soul of Beerus, not uttering a word more of explanation to the gods, who can only remain completely perplexed. What is he? This can't be! I hit him! I erased him, I'm sure of it! Nothing but the Super Dragon Balls themselves should be able to do that! As Ultra Vegito, still remaining quiet, then subtly attempts a semblance of an explanation, as he lifts his right hand up until suddenly, one of the 5 remaining time rings he possesses then inexplicably begins to erase from his finger, as if having just been sacrificed in exchange for Vegito. And now it's my turn! Which one of you wants to give me their energy first? Leaving the God Killer now free to finally let out everything and scream to the heavens intimidatingly as the very gravity and atmosphere of the planet takes a dark change. A visual so powerful and alarming, both divine creations, God and angel, are left paralyzed in fear, unable to say any more from the mixture of confusion and dread that has now befell them. All the while, Beerus alone remains directly in the sight of the God Killer. But before the former destroyer could even move a muscle with frightening speed, accuracy, and control, Ultra Vegito appears directly in front of Beerus, just as he did with Gogeta. But just this time, sparing the god from utter defeat as he lets out just one final time. So, how about we have that talk now, Beerus?
L is for lovers who love one another. A is for ass, of which I like to eat.